These are conversion of the energy to matter, and this has been the dream of the man. We've seen it in the dynamic system with Peter, and a lot of the other people are testing it now. And then it goes a step further. You have produced, but the first step, especially the first GANS residual, usually carries this amount of original matter. Some are created, but some mainly are from the original plate you used. It's beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing with us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you. Just wash it and come back next week, see how we see if there is evolution in it. And to record it every time you wash it, that we see the process. And then leave it. And the best thing to do is to those gold residual you've collected at the bottom with the ganses you don't collect, put it in 2 or 3 bottles around this new GANS you washed. And you see, you might collect gold outside the bottle, not inside the bottle too.
So a last question. I have a liquid plasma where I put some of the gold GANS water into it. And I have a position for this glass near a maggraph that I built, and I found also tiny gold particles in this glass. So the question is...
Let me, you see, people have to understand what you said. You used plasma water of the GANS of gold. You didn't use the GANS of gold. Correct?
Yes. Yes, correct.
And then you put it near a maggraph system.
Yes, correct.
And then you found some gold in the bottom of the jar.
Yes, that's correct.
So you've done this job. It is gold because you created a condition of that's the filter. Whatever comes in that strength converts back into the matter state because you have water and you have the jar. The jar is the boundary of the matter state, so in that state it becomes gold when it touches the energy of the matter. It reduces and it gives enough energy that becomes that matter in that state. So that is the pure gold you created out of the matter state of the plasma itself. Because when you use liquid GANS or the plasma, liquid plasma, you still have some particles, even you don't see it, in there. And that sets the scene for the totality, and then you see the conversion back into matter state. If you become master in it, I can show you a trick that you can collect a lot of gold. Can I share a screen? Let's see if we can bankrupt the central banks. I need this. This is your, make your tube this way. Let's say this is a meter tube with 20 centimeter tube, whatever. Make a gap in between. If you understand, this is the gap. And then fill these with different liquid gases. Then you tell me what you have collected in these gaps. You can put 2 different material on either side, and the element you collect here is a composite. It's like you want to make brass. You create the fields of them. The interaction on the matter state will give you composite materials. This is a field of composite materials. And then if you convert it, you get the matter you need. This is how you make composite structures in the universe. You don't furnace, you don't take alloys, you don't make alloys out of different amount of matter state. You bring different field strength of the origin. In the interaction, they give you the composite you need. And it's monoatomic composite, which is perfect. It's better than even making alloys. What you've done, you put the GaNs of gold in respect to a copper winding coil. So what you have is the field flow between the two. But you have to understand with this, because of its freedom and presetting, here you most probably collect. Some of you look at the bottom of your GaN strings, you see materials, but you disguise it because you don't see it. But here you have preset the gold level, so you'll be collecting gold. And then if you bring it closer or further, you will see the interaction and the speed of the production. And if you get it right, and like putting another system inside, you will find out that very fast you can produce kilos of gold. If you want it, you can mint it, as they say. And understanding the mint is making the coins of gold. Nobody will know. Two scientists in the past few hundred years managed to understand this, made gold out of fresh air, and they disappeared. They reappeared in other places on this planet as very rich people, but they came and they brought their gold and they made when they needed. Rothschild is one of them. Rothschild family were given the secret of making gold. And in the process, they lost it somewhere. And then they knew, and the rest of it is illusion of delusion, and they now become central banks. And for the first time, I'll teach it to you, and you're testing it, and you're seeing it producing. Make shops and sell GaNs of water of the GaNs of any product and let people go home. The government asks you for gold. Oh, I have a GaNs of gold. You have a core running. How many kilos I have to give for my taxation this year to be a free man, to do what I like, to enjoy my soul. You give it to them. The biggest problem now is where we're going to stack all this gold people are making. If you understand the process the way you just explained and speed it up, you can make few kilos of gold every day. Put it this way, the earth doesn't respect to the sun. Where do you think our gold comes? Just came before and finished? Every day our planet creates a mixture of elements and it deposits it, rains on us. We go to shower and we wash it. Beauty and the kindness of the Creator showers on man, but the man has not got the intelligence to understand it. Any other question?
Hello, good morning, Mr. Kesh. This is Paul from Togo.
Hi, Paul. Good morning. How are you?
I want to know if, fine. I want to know if you have received my PDF, my PowerPoint.
Nope. Who's got it? Rick, have you?
I have sent it directly to you, and I sent
to me. I have not seen such a thing.
I sent also to Rick.
Paul, you sent me some pictures. Yes, I've got the pictures.
Could you show it, please? I haven't seen anything on my email from you, Paul.
Yeah, I send also, Mr. Rick, I send you the PowerPoint feed.
No, I haven't seen it.
Let me have a look here.
Hello, this is Lucy from China. I have two Chinese want to share something. One Chinese sent me the video of his system. I don't know where I can send to. Sorry, could you give me your email address so that I can send you?
Send it to webmaster at the Spaceship Institute or cashfoundation.org, and then we send it to Rick. All communication goes through webmaster. We don't give private emails. If you send it at webmaster at spaceshipinstitute.org or cashfoundation.org, you can very easily do that. Let me explain to a lot of you who don't know, and this is very important, especially if you are sending files of videos. Uploading these things takes a lot of time and a lot of bandwidth. Use a company called WeTransfer.com. WeTransfer.com allows you to send files below 2 gigabytes very rapidly. You just need the email address, and it's very easy for us to open to see. We don't need to download and wait. It's very fast. Within a matter of a minute you can load up. With a matter of minutes we download it, and if it's not downloaded within 7 days it disappears. So it doesn't take time on it. If you download it, then you can keep it. WeTransfer.com is one of the easiest way for you to transfer videos to us. Go on the internet, put WeTransfer.com, and you can use the facility. Just put WeTransfer.com and send it to webmaster@cashfoundation.org. We see it, we can immediately decide yes, no, and what we can do with it, and it doesn't take a lot of time to do it. If you can send it to the webmaster now, maybe we can look at it this morning, please. Are you still there?
Mr. Cash, I will send to the email. Okay, I will send right now.
We immediately look at it. Vince, could you keep an eye on this to come up?
Yeah, both of them have the question is that the light is light, but the compressor is not work. Yeah.
Yes, you have to see if the output at your generator is 110 or 220. If your system is a 220 system or 110. Everything has to be matching on the same order. If you are using a fish tank, you're producing 110 output and your pumps are 220, you will find out you don't have enough power to bring them into what do you call it, infinity loop, as we call it. This is the problem, and I explained that. That's why I said, if you live in the country, is in China 220 euro power or 110?
Yes, it's 220, and
So fish
we
pumps.
test the voltage is only 114. Yeah. So I
Yes,
think
so
that's
your pump is 110. You will never get your capacitor and compressor unit matching up. It's too weak. That's what I said. You have to change to 220. We put a note on this on the what do you call it? The blueprint. Those of you who live, the system we have put, it tells you really, it says 120 volt system. So all you need to do is to use a generator of 220, but not a signal generator or power generator. You have to use what I call a standard generator, kick in the plasma, and then it'll happen. There is a secret in this process, maybe I have to explain, but is Douglas awake? He can join us. You see Douglas in the background, or is still asleep? These compressors carry magnetic field wiring, and that's the secret to their work. You have the system, which is now nano-coated, creates its own magnetic field and holds its own. That's why this technology works so easily with these things. But you have the problem of the matter state to kick in. So 220 has to have a power supply of 220. With 110 fish tanks, it says specifically what it is. The blueprint is 110. You change anything you see 110. If you got a 220, you have to change everything to 220. The compressor is 220, the power generator 220. But as we said with the research center, with innovation center, when you go above 140, 4 capacitors are too weak to carry the power. It's so much energy comes as an impulse. You need to increase the number of the capacitors to 8 to 12 without burning your capacitance. Is Renan in the background? Is he awake? Renan, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Renan, would you like to explain this, what you've seen in the Innovation Center with the spikes in the power with your capacitors?
Yes, especially for the 220 volt setup, the blueprint that is released, it's specifically with the same prototype of Douglas, which is working at a 110 volt. So for the 220 volt setup, we require more capacitors because there are surge of the current coming from the power. It's amplified, so it needs to hold more current. So we increase the capacitors to 8 or 12. So you can start with 8 capacitors. But if we can design the better capacitors, you have your own design to work with, you can use that as well. But for the design that Douglas has made, so we can utilize 8 capacitors to 12 capacitors. And we need 12 for the 220 volt system. We need to know that you need to check the compressors line, because if you see in the diagram, we have the R and S. You need to check the S wire, or what we call the starting coil of a compressor, the voltage that's come out from it, just to check, because most of the compressors that we have here, even it's 220 volts,
I'm listening.
it comes out with 110 volts only, even it's 220. In the US, they have 110 volt compressors, which has an output of 110 volt as well. So that is why it can create a pump loop, infinity loop with a refrigerator and ref, and can have extract more power in the environment using the MagRev system. So, but 220 volt systems, we need to do something with the compressors, or if you can find 110 compressors, much better to test with the 110 first, if you have access to that for this particular design.
Okay, Renan, could you please produce a blueprint for 220 system, please, and post it?
Yes, Mr. Kesh. We are still verifying the number of capacitors and the flow of connection for that 220. We will put it up. Okay. As soon as we complete it.
Thank you very much. These are the developments as part of we have to separate the system between 110 and 220, but your plasmatic condition at the end will be applicable for both. It's just to start a system in the components which are ready in the market that you can use. With our work, we look at about 12 capacitors. It's very easy. You got to do what to see the power of your output. What you do when you go to your generator, rotating the speed of it, because you're reversing a motor into a generator, put a voltmeter and see what are the maximum voltage out of your system. Put a voltmeter with 1,000, 2,000 volt capability of measurement, and see how much what is and what peaks come in. How does it jump? Some systems go to 600 something. The small pumps If you get the speed of rotation, the fish pumps in 110 can go up to about 6 to 100 to 1,000 volts with the current. You immediately go into what they call plus condition, 1 plus, or supplying more energy than you're actually producing or you're using to produce the energy. This is very easy, you can check. But in that process, you can see the peaks, and the peaks allows you to go further and what you can do. What we think the ratio could be is one capacitor per half a kilowatt when it comes to the 100 and 220, and one capacitor to about 0.75 to 1 kilowatt for 110. So if you get that in mind and understand the power of your peak of your generators, then you look around about 12 to 16 capacitors. And this is important to give you a guideline, and depends again how you make your capacitors, how you arrange your capacitors, and if your capacitors is in line with other things, with other facilities in your system. Try to only use nanomaterial coated all the way along. Don't mix wires and capacitor and the nano-coated wires. Make sure your loop from the point of interaction with your power supply to trigger the plasma, everything has to be in nano-coated condition, especially when you go into the solid state systems. We will show you the solid state system very shortly, and this pump situation goes out of it, but it's part of the process of the development, and it's there for you to see and to repeat.
Hello, Mr. Kai.
Who's speaking?
I'm Anzai. Here is Anzai.
We are still waiting for Paul to see his videos or his PowerPoint.
Sorry.
I'm working on it here. There's about 30 pictures or something. I have to download each one individually and set them up individually, and it's a lot of work here right now. But I'm trying. There is a video, PDF. I'm not sure if the pictures are in the PDF or if I'm supposed to download those separately. Maybe Paul, you can help me with that. Is that are the pictures in the PDF? Do I need to download all of the pictures and set them up, or are they already in the PDF?
Only, yeah, you have to download only the PDF.
Okay, well that's helpful. Then just give me a minute.
I have a question. 那个自在机，你可以过来帮我翻译一下吗 ？Hello.
I tell you something, Paul. You send me a PDF email with a lot of boards with the holes in it. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, but yesterday I sent the presentation. How the way that I have sent it, I have sent it yesterday.
No, I remember now. I saw an email from you with a board with a lot of holes in it. I was wondering, what are these holes for? What are you doing with these holes you made on this board? Are you listening to me, Paul?
I will need I will need the PDF to let you understand what I have done, because it is most so I have made settled it in a way that it is easy that you will understand, and with enlighten that to. I can send you now again the file, and you can see.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to get it downloaded properly from the cloud, and so I can open it in the right application. It'll just be a minute here.
Yes, the other gentleman and speak, Paul, till we are ready that we can share. Somebody was speaking. Can you tell us what you wanted to tell us or teach us, please?
Hello, Mr. Cash. This is Lucy. Just now, I'm Jai, and his Chinese name is Yanan. He want to ask you a question. If he had designed a core system, and he want to ask you if his system can replace the compressor. So please let he speak, and I try to translate for him. Okay.
Rick, have we have access to this? Can we do this? Or you're too busy in the background with the other one?
I'm here, Mr. Keshan. Yes, she can translate in the meantime for Anzai.
Could you promote the person that we can see?
Yeah, they're both here.
Okay, because I have to stop sharing. I'm the cause of the problem. Okay. There we are. You can share.
We don't have any pictures yet. It's just a matter of a question being asked, and she can translate. Ruthie, can you do that, please?
Yes, I can try to speak Chinese to him, explain, ask him. 亚楠，你的屏幕可以分享吗？你可以分享你的图给大家吗？还是要我这边来做屏幕分享？
我已经可以了。
OK， 好，那我帮你翻译就可以了。So he's ready.
Yeah, he's ready. Okay, tell us what we see. We see the two compressors. We see the stacker unit. We see the capacitors.
是这样的，我们从昨天晚上完成了这个装置，然后呢
Okay, wait.
请稍等。
Douglas, is Douglas or Wernie online?
I'm here, Mr. Cash.
Wernie, could you be kind enough to look at this and enlighten us, please?
Okay.
Okay, carry on, please.
请继续。
昨天晚上我们完成这个装置，然后呢，我们今天早上去测试。我们用的是汽车的电源加上逆变器，但是呢，我们那个逆变器可能有问题，没有达到效果。回家之后呢，我们用的是电机来启动，但是启动不起来。我希望开始先生，来，就是我询问一下，就是说用这个逆变器这一块是不是可以达到启动装置的一个效果？
你说的逆变器是什么？
就是12伏的直流的电源转变成220伏的交流电。
你用这个东西，这个不是开始的那个蓝图里面的，对吧？
对。
然后你的意思是说，你用这个逆变器不能做到什么？
可不可以启动这个装置？
那你用它来替代它蓝图里面的什么东西？
替代那个电机。
Okay. So the question from Yanan is, he tried to use a converter, which is.
He wants to use what?
Converter, which is a converter from a 12-volt DC to 220 AC. And he wants to use this to replace the motor in the blueprint design. He asked if this can work him, but
yes, why not? Try.
是的，开始先生说可以。那你的问题是什么？他说你可以试。
那这个我这一块那我就知道了。然后我有一个就是说替换这个。
Let me explain something very interesting.
他会跟你解释。
You have to plug your pump, both compressors, into your load in reverse. I hope you understand, and I hope you do that.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Cash, I can't understand.
You see, the two pumps are connected in the infinity loop, which means they are connected to each other. Yeah?
Okay, you mean the compressor?
Yeah, the two compressors, the two black units.
Okay, the two black device, okay.
Yeah, but these black devices need to be supplied with the power. So when you go, for example, to that yellow plug, Wernie, correct me if I'm wrong. When you connect, let's say, the pump with the silver or aluminum foil on top of it to the yellow distributor plug, if you put the negative on one side and positive on the other, because still you work on the what do you call it? I have this. What I'm going to draw, I'll correct me if I'm wrong, Wernie. From this one here, you connect to the positive, and from here, for example, you connect to the negative. You're creating a loop, and from this one, I have to choose a color. You don't have the, no, let me see. We go for a color you can see blue. For this one, if this is the positive here and negative here, and this is positive here and negative here, you go, you connect the negative of this, yeah, to the positive, and you connect the positive to the negative. Then your system automatically goes in an infinity loop. Not only it feeds itself to the plug, then it becomes the consumer of its own energy. That's how you create the loop. Am I correct, Bernie?
Yes, Mr. Cash.
This is the trick to this system. And in normal condition, it doesn't work. In a matter state, it doesn't work. But because you're in a plasmatic state, it works. This is a trick which most of you have not even realized. You have no choice to connect the positive of this to here and the negative of this to the same side. You connect the negative of this to the positive and the positive of this to positive, while the system is feeding, generating electricity to go around the circle to come to itself. You put on your load the loads you need. This is the trick, this is the secret about this setting. You plug your capacitors, your, what do you call, the compressors to your own load, and at the same time, as it's loading and they are working together, you are draining energy from it. You look at the polarity of the poles of your compressor when you connect. None of you have realized this. This is very important. You remember
does that make that sort of a feedback loop onto the infinity loop itself?
Yes, it's a maglev feedback. This is another way of the capacitors. If you remember when we made the capacitors, we had the gravitational system, and then we looped back one to itself, and one went as a capacitor battery. It's the same process. This was in a solid state. Here we're going more in a plasma state. This is, thank you very much for putting these pictures up. It's fantastic what you brought on. But we have to understand what we are doing here. If I clean this up, can you clean the board for me, please? And with the rest of it? Can you rub the rest of the picture?
If it doesn't work, then stop sharing. You can
Oh, I'm cleaning it myself. I'm cleaning it myself. It's okay. Yeah, no problem. Let me just do my work here a little bit. I'm a messy worker. You see here, you have the positive. Here you have the negative. We're talking about this yellow box here. You have 2 positive and 2 negative. From the pump 1, here is your positive, this is your negative. You come from the positive into the positive. You come from the negative into the negative. Okay, we're gonna find a way to do it. Here, with the pump 2, you have positive here, negative here, positive here. You take here the negative and you go over to the positive. And you take the positive and you go to negative. Your plug becomes your feeder and a generator. You loop feedback in. Vivek and John, who work in the back in the support, and Renan, you have to put this in the blueprint that people understand. If you remember when we made the MagRav unit, we indicated the polarity, which way you have to connect it. And this point, these are not only the load, but they are the producer, the generator too. Internally in the box, they are operating like this. You can't just plug it in. When you make your connection inside and you take your 2 wires out, you're taking the load out. But internally here, I'll try to now go to the next thing to clean that you can see. What you are doing, you are connecting the positive of this to the negative of this, and you are connecting, you are connecting the positive of this to the negative of this. And here you're taking 2 lines out, which goes to your power. You can do this internally, or you connect it to the power supply where itself feeds and becomes the generator to itself. This is the trick in this game. You're taking from the same wire positive, negative, and you're taking from the other power line negative, because you're in an infinity loop. If it goes back to the understanding of the system, you remember magnetical becomes the gravitational, and the gravitational becomes magnetical. This is pump 1, pump 2. It's you who decide to take energy from here and from here. You are taking from the magnetical of the one or gravitation of the other one. And in fact, it looks very ridiculous how it does. Sorry, this is here, not here. In fact, it's the same thing. It's the same loop, but you take at the weakest point and the strongest point of the other, you create the rotation. If you look at it, is this way. If I can do this, then you can see it. Is you have the 2 loops. You have the 2 systems. Here it's at the strongest. Here it's at this much more strongest, because here is the strongest in a weaker field. But here is the strongest in the strongest field, because in the interaction, all the top layers, it's like peeling a fruit which has many layers. The top layer is stronger in magnetical, but the inner layers are stronger in gravitational. And as the system goes, I taught this last week, you reduce the magnetical strength, but when you come here, you got more powerful systems, more powerful energy. And it's the same vice versa with this one here. You start with a strong magnetical, at the point of conversion, you become strong in gravitational. So what you're doing, you're in fact tapping into a very self-made potential difference. Because if you connect to here, you are dealing with the same source, highest to the lowest. Or you can connect to here. It's the same process. That's how the loop feedback comes in. It depends which one you connect to positive, and when you connect your system is, I have to find another color, is the potential difference has to be there, that trying to feed the strongest to the weakest, you connect energy and you tap into it. It's unlimited, megawatts, gigawatts. It all depends how much strength you can carry within the center and how much flow you can allow. If you look at this, in reality, you don't need any of this. This is a waste of time. But this is the way you understand. The coil is the controller of the fields, how much converting of the plasmatic matter to a plasma state. If you look at your circuit in a very simple way, if you look at your circuit, here, this capacitor, this setup here is a converter. And these two are your balancers. If in your designs place this in the right position, you can dictate a lot of things. You choose things randomly, but if you look in your structures and understand the work of plasma, it's not wires anymore. You're looking for all these wires. Look at the interaction of the fields, because this is not creating DC or AC. These two, because of the condition of this, are creating plasma condition. So where you put your coil, how you position these to each other, from now on matters. It's not any more wires, it's the fields, and you have to go through this transition of understanding. That's why, for example, we created the stacker 3 on top of each other. If you look at the blueprint, how each one is nano-coated, GaNs-coated, is to create a flow. The Innovation Center, people have to start understanding the use of these things, and you have to become alert to it too. You create a loop. This is your loop. Do you want to tap in the strongest and the weakest of one, or the weakest and the strongest of the other? And then you see your system performance changes. You use the same compressors, but you cannot do. I watched this yesterday with Douglas in presentation, but I thought he hasn't understood it. I cannot interfere. Because you see it working, but I don't understand why the system works. Sometimes it doesn't work some other time. Yes, because you haven't understood what you're dealing with. You're dealing with the flow of the fields. You call it a negative and a positive of the system. Negative, positive. Here, I want to give. My magnetical is more powerful. Here, I want to take. Here, I have to give more because I create the capacitance. I have a step down or a step up. That's why you have the capacity in one of them, because they never match, and not matching, one tries to feed the other. So now that you make your connections, the important thing for you is, are you tapping into the positive of this one and the positive of this one, or are you tapping into the negative of this one and negative of this one? Are you tapping in the positive of this and negative of this? Because now you're dealing with the field flow, but because you have a pump in front of you, you think that's what the pump does. No, because now the pump itself, as you've seen, is part of the plasma circuit. Thank you very much for bringing this picture on, because it clarifies a lot of work.
Thank you, Mr. Cash.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Yanan, he have his design to use the balls to replace the compressor pumps. Yeah.
This is very correct. You are very correct. This is part of what we are doing in the Innovation Center. It was shown last night by Vernie to the American audience. And
yeah.
You're very correct. You can do it. I would like to see his design, then we can comment on it, or Vernie can comment on it, please.
Yes, he want to show it to you.
Please.
OK， 亚兰，请把你的那个图片调出来。
This is a liquid plasma containers. I have to clean up. This is a liquid plasma condition. Am I correct? He's using, I have to clean up the mess. Okay, carry on. Yes, I can see it. This was shown, this combination work was shown first time by Vernie and Renan in Dubai conference. A lot of people didn't understand it. Vernie, would you like to comment on this, because you're expert in this?
Yes, what is not shown in this drawing are the coils in between the ganses, in between the bottles. So there are 3 mag-grab coils. Can I annotate?
Yes, I think you're already doing.
Okay.
Let me clean up my print. Let me explain to you what Vernie is doing. We have already developed this in the Keshe Foundation. There is some pictures here on overlapping. We have already developed this in the Innovation Center in conjunction with the coils. We showed it last night. And this is a combination of the plasma GaNs and the nanomaterial coating. You can create such a thing. It's very easy, but what I explained to Vernie when he wanted to do this, when we make commercial units carrying liquids, this will be part of the problem. So we have gone a step down into the matter state to create such a thing in the coil structure. And what Vernie is going to explain to you is that the structure which I've designed, and when he has added the different connections at the same time to it, it works like a heartbeat. And it becomes self-sustaining system. Go ahead, please, Vernie.
Okay, this is correct. The interaction here is correct for, let's say, for this side. What I have shown yesterday, what you notice, we have this container and this container and this container and one in the middle.
Use a thicker color pen. It's very faint what you're doing, please.
Okay.
Use a thicker pen.
Wait. It's not working.
There's a lot of same color on the board.
I'll just remove my. No, I cannot remove. Okay, I'm removing my previous.
I'm removing what I put in there that you can carry on showing your clean sheet now. Carry on.
Okay, I don't have the option here for a thicker. Here it is.
It's the lines drop down.
Okay.
It's on the screen. Yeah. Okay.
So this part here, these are containers here, 3 and 1 in the middle. What I have are these are liquid plasma. Yes, they are arranged in a correct manner. What you did not notice are the magravs in between them. Here, here, and here, which have connection like this. The handshake with each other. Magrav in a way that you have magnetical and gravitational in the middle in each of the coils. And if you have this configuration,
just wait 1 second. Can I add something, please?
Okay.
You got to understand here. We're going to the next step. What Bernie is explaining now is that where he put these blue circles, these are you don't have. These are field interactions. You have to, from now on, to count on these. You can't just put the bottles and say, I connect the bottles. The bottles configuration creates a star formation, and each of these points, as Werner is showing, each of these points, let me get my pen back. Each of these points don't exist in a matter state. You can't see it. But when you organize your system that you tap into energy at a certain point, you'll find out you absorb different energies. And that's what Werner is talking about, how where you connect. And these are now, we are dealing with the GANs, plasma, liquid, and field strength. You use the plasma, liquid plasma to create a point of field, and then you connect that point of field, your system, to each other. Am I correct?
Yes. I suggest when seeing this drawing, we see it all in field interaction. Just see it that way. When we connect, let's say if we connect a wire from CO2 to any of the, let's say, wires also, that are all of these are nano-coated. When we connect, consider it as a directional flow from a liquid plasma to the nano layer, to the fields. These are all fields interaction. And when we see it that way, it will be easier for us to evaluate the reaction. Okay, can I continue, Mr. Kes, to
carry on? Yeah, it's just we fill in the little information between you and me that they understand most of it.
Okay, let me use another color. Let's say I think the flow here. Okay, let me label this. Oh, it doesn't change the color. Oh wait, I don't have the. Here is the color. It's not my color. Okay, undo. Okay, let me label this as the red one as our magnetical on each of the coils, or each of the nano-coated coils, and let's say this one as our gravitational, the center one. Okay, the connection would be from here and going there and going there. You have halfway extending your magnetical, and gravitational receive it somewhere in the middle, and so in this one. So you have now a flow similar to your black arrows there. So from magnetical which is the red one, magnetical to gravitational, so mag to grav. So you have now the flow. Then now why they are placed in a manner this way. In here you have CO2, for example, on this side. As you can see, this CO2 is in proximity, is very near on these two fields here. Here, the fields of the maggrav. This CO2 is also have its own field, so they are already interacting. But this CO2 is very far from the other. So to complete the reaction of this container of this field of CO2, we extend this towards there, here on this point, on the grav of the opposite coil. You do the same here, you do the same there. So in here, they are interacting. 3 in here, the same, and there are 3. We have always working in 3 here, and in order to supply the other one, which is of the opposite, we intentionally connect it through there on the opposite, on the leg of the maggrav, which is the grav. This is more giving GANs, so it should be received by the receiving end, which is the gravitational of the opposite coil. Now, the center one, which is more gravitational in strength, the lead GANs, the liquid plasma, the middle one, you can then connect this to this one, to the magnetical, that one, and that one, and this completes the circuit. So we have full interaction of everything in here. So all the GANs interacts to all the coils. So each GANs interacts to all the coils, and the connection is correct in a sense that from magnetical goes to gravitational, and magnetical goes to the center also.
Okay, can I ask you one thing, please, yes. Rennie? You have, this is theoretical picture which he has drawn. Could you show us a real one which you have? Then people can see it. Why we understand it. Can you show us one of yours?
Okay, I'll get the photograph for that.
Okay. You got to, we see what you're showing. You've seen the teaching last night to the American scientists or American organizations, wherever they're, and you have understood it, you've seen it, but you have to understand the totality of it. This part of the development has been on with us for some time. We have even taken it into production in the factory in Italy. Brennan can show you the blueprint of this energy system structure. We understand this fully. Vernie is very good at this development.
Okay, can I share screen?
Yes,
So,
you can stop sharing and then we take over for a second, please. Can somebody stop sharing from our Chinese friend? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Hello, Mr. Cash.
Yes, you just to wait, please. Please wait. This is the setup.
Okay, this is what I've shown yesterday, the 3 units. These are 3 units. You only need this one. What we have discussed is only one. It's happened that I took a picture of 3 units these are for testing at that moment. So
you see the picture. Even can you go back? Yeah. Okay. You see here the picture, the bottom one. Our people are still using matter state to nano state. If you look at the red wire, it's still not nano coated. We still have problems understanding these things.
Yes. point of assembly, it is not yet nano-coated, but I was in a hurry. I know it will get
I understand. I was just trying to say you got to say nano-coated condition.
Yes, but this will work in 4 days' time. It will be, you know, the more you use it, the more it becomes efficient. Anyway, they are short wire, so I did not worry about it. But
no problem.
Every year becomes nano-coated. I'll show you step by step how this was made. So you prepare, the coils are made this way. They are done this way. This on the right side, on this photograph is the gravitational coil. This is the inner coil. They will be inserted in the middle. And you see the other one, there's an extension wire, and also on the other end. You'll connect them this way. So we have an inner coil and an outer coil, and you connect the other end this way. So to have a continuous flow. So we have a magrab, a very small magrab. As you can see, that's my finger there. So that's how small it is in ratio. So you have 3. Then I folded them this way, that when I put them side by side, they will receive each other this way. That the distance here is enough for the container to get inside. So they will hold this in this manner. You see, outer coil, magnetical, is received by gravitational on the next, and going here on the other side, and so on. So they are in, I would say, in a counterclockwise or a giving flow manner. So the winding also here is from the winding also is the same as how they are mag to grab. It is counterclockwise. Okay, let's go to the next page. They are connected, then I nano-coat them. Now I connected a wire. This red wire, as you can see, they are connected on one side only, but maintaining on the same side, which is the magnetical of the coil. You see, when you have this connection, let me make this bigger. When you have this connection here at the junction, we also have this separation. The other side is magnetical, the receiving end is gravitational. Now this red wire is connected on the magnetical. All of the magnetical have this single wire, and later on they will be connected in the middle container. So next is I prepare, since we will connect this to the container, of course you will insert the wire in the container, and they should be touching something in the container, which is liquid plasma. But in the liquid plasma, we have, again, nano-coated coils submerged inside. And this is how it is done. I only use single coils there, but they convey polarity in a manner of winding. So I've been using this convention ever since we've been using coils, and we are aware of this polarity. Even if they are not nano-coated, they respond properly when they are done this way. Like for this one, the clockwise one, they respond very well when they are as negative, and the other one as positive. So for the lead guns, what's inside there, since lead guns is, let's say, more gravitational, I will pair it with a more magnetical coil. So this is not a double coil, this is single coil. So this is pairing of more gravitational and more magnetical. Sheet stream, more magnetical or more giving. I pair it with a receiving coil, which is gravitational. So this will be inserted in the bottles and connected with this corresponding wire. For the lead guns, you have this red wire, and what you see on the outside containers, we have the blue wires. Okay.
You are releasing the whole blueprint.
Yeah, because you asked me to explain, and there's no other way to explain.
With the greatest of pleasure. We have no problem. If you look at the heading of these papers, these were completed on 23rd of May. It's already when we teach, or we were talking last time to the Americans, was we know what we're talking about. It's been with us, development and everything, over 6 months. So
yeah, and
this is our understanding of new technology, which is beyond.
This is already running before that month, I think April.
Yes.
And it's documented after a month. We've been running it already this month. So let's go back to this photograph in the middle here. The gravitational is where we connect the blue wire coming from the bottles on the opposite side. So that's the complete setup on this wireless setup. This works wirelessly because the moment you connect the last wire, it will work automatically, instantly. The moment, let's say, the moment you disconnect the middle wire, the field will collapse. And when you connect it back, it will turn back on as if you're popping, you're making a balloon, an instant balloon of fields. And you can literally feel it if you put your hand on top of the containers. It's very strong field. You can feel it. So this is how it's done. And the previous drawing presented to us is correct, the field interaction. And what's lacking is this. I use shrinkable tubes, rubber tubes here just to protect the coating, because I've been handling this during assembly. So to protect the coating, I use the shrinkable tubes. And for this time, when I open up one of the wires, in fact, I did open all the wires just to see it. Nano coating starts, and it all started among the in a group of stranded wires. It started from the middle going outwards. That's how it started, the nano coating. Okay, I think that's the this is all of it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bernie. Now, can we go back to our Chinese friend? Let him explain what he is showing us, please.
OK， 亚楠，现在的话，凯子先生，请你解释你想要说什么。
是这样的，在这一个Rena 的这一个结构里面，然后如果说用钢丝球来代替这个 CO， 然后 CO2 和 CO3 这个结构，如果在两组的这样的结构里面做一个循环的话。
Maybe can you explain something here? Rennie, correct me if I'm wrong. There is a problem in your setting. You have disturbed your flow, and it will be if you want it to go the right or the left-hand flow. Your CH, CuO, and CO2, this field flow is totally the opposite. If you change the position of CO2 and CuO on the left-hand one, then you are correct. This picture by arrow doesn't fit into the understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rennie. The flow here is because the, what do you call it? He has a, I need this, wait 1 second. Correct me if I'm wrong. The flow always comes from CH to CO2 to this. And your flow is this way, not this way. Because it's magnetical feeding gravitational. Here you have a flow which is this way, in your drawing is, to me, the way I understand it and we work with it, is your drawing is the blue one. You are feeding from the magnetical into a gravitational. You are feeding from a magnetical from gravitational, and then you are feeding from a magnetical in comparison to that. This is a conflict, and then you see your system doesn't work. Here you have the same problem. If you look at it, your system is feeding to this, and it's feeding to this, and you have an absolute chaos in here.
Okay, this is with respect to each containers, right?
Yes, but when you get a field flow, it's not homogeneous. Even though the flow here is from this to this, and it's from this to this, and it's from this to this, you have a conflict of the flow.
Okay, not a problem, Mr. Kesh, because we have this wire redirecting the liquid plasma flow to one of the legs.
If you redo your wires, you'll find out you get a better efficiency, bigger expansion of fields, because you are losing part of your fields in these interventions, in this misfit of the fields. You understand?
Yes, yes, I understand. That's why on our next version of this, that's the moment we were able to reach the bigger field when we put another container, or when we rearrange the what we call the bottles, with the moment we put somewhere in between of them.
Yeah.
And
it's just that when you start working with plasma, you put the matter state, you put the nano-coated state, and then you look at the plasma flow, field flow, very clearly. You don't need to waste time. All it is difference between 1 kilowatt and 10 kilowatt. Because once you create a barrier, then a lot of energy is used to overcome this barrier. Once you create a free flow, you'll find out the field will keep on expanding and expanding. A little, that's what I say, a little notice to detail make a huge difference in the outcome of your system.
Yes, we've noticed that, Mr. Kesh. Imagine from 3 meters to 34.
It was just by replacing one bottle.
Just by rearrangement.
One bottle. This is why. And then if you want to increase, this is what I said last night to the American military, and it was understood fully. If you even bring the distance of these closer, the positioning you have, if you bring these distances closer or further, or changing the composition of this, you can increase your fields to 34 kilometers. I'm good at this. I've done this for many years. Very, very little. People don't notice it because you're so materialistic. A little positioning will give you a field distance beyond your imagination. How the bottle sits, where you put the bottle in respect to each other. You see them closely packed, but in fact you have to look how far. Why does it expand? Because what happened, this is the replication. Let me explain to you, you understand this fully. I have to take this out, because those of you who are in the dynamic version of this, like Douglas and Armin and the others, maybe you understand where the problem is, or what is you can add to the knowledge. This is exactly like your center core. This is like your outer core in the balls you are making, and the environment is your third bottle. When you feed so much, this absorbs so much that it has to feed back out, and then what do you get? Explosion of field. It's like throwing in a stone with a rocket propulsion system, hundreds of kilometers. because it's not what it gives here, it's how much it adds to the energy of the center and how powerful the center become that it pushes this, overcoming the field which it fed it, and then you just dictate the distance. This is how you paralyze military forces, with a little bottle. You heard me listen to the teaching of yesterday. I gave a very clear, very, very subtle information. A little Chinese fisherman amongst the American Navy in South China Sea. The fisherman carries a little ball. The Americans never can believe such a little ball with no motor, nothing, as a drinking bottle can create such a mayhem. You need just to put a fish, which inside it carries the bottle. The power of this technology so much is for you to understand, but you have to understand how you organize it, how you dictate it. And the strangest thing is, if the man who built the system put a drop of blood of himself inside it, the fish will flow amongst the ships as he decides and looks. It's the naval ships which are paralyzed beyond it because they don't see the fish. All you see, one by one, the boat's sinking. You heard me last night. I said what I said in the teaching. Give me 10 minutes, you choose the boat. I don't even need to be in China. I can sit here from Europe and control the fish. This is what you have to do in the space. Electronic systems are too slow. If you go addition to the extension of the knowledge, you put a drop of blood, but you put with it a drop of iodine as well too, which connects to the emotion of your soul, which means you cannot do anything wrong. You shall not harm no one, but matter state finds its position. My intention is peace, the total system in the stomach of a fish. Your intention is planet Zeus. If it's good for you, you shall be there. This is what I explained. When you build your system, is your intention is to get energy that with it, you don't need to pay the bill and you have more time to serve. Your system will work in no time. But if your intention is, oh, I get the energy made, excuse my French, I screw Keshe Foundation, doesn't matter what they gave me, I'll use it myself, and I screw my nation, I don't pay any more taxes, I have more, the system will not work. And then you call me a crook, where the crookedness sits in your own soul, not understanding the work of what you're doing. These systems are getting more and more connected to your school of thoughts. You touch it, you build it. It carries your emotion, and with it, it carries the essence of your thoughts. Go back to very first teachings. You understand, maybe it comes home. As we say, it's time for the eggs to come and hatch. I told you from day one, when you make a system, pray for your system. Praying is giving, and in giving the correct thoughts, you shall receive the rest. We are coming to it very, very fast. Many of you will come and cry, my system doesn't work. Especially when you go into these bottle systems, into the GANs and the fields. You have touched it, you carried your emotion to it. Don't forget about the mother and child. It does not matter the child is, mother feels the emotion. The child is your touch, your amino acid you deposited on it. This is what you got to learn. I have brought you in a position that there is no choice but correct conduct, because you don't get what you want unless you understand why you're wanting it and it's correct for you to have it. Look at all the structure. Look, understand the totality. Look and understand what the system gives you and why it gives you, what you were expecting of it. Do I want gold to show off I'm rich, or do I want gold to pay that my soul is at ease? If your intention to become rich, you never create gold. You can do everything. And you call me, oh, the guy is talking rubbish, is this and that. And the guy whose intention is to make gold, that with it can prove the technology is correct, delivers it. Because he knows with it, it will change a lot of things in other people to understand there is no respect for a metal or the matter. That's why we see so much success with certain individuals across the foundation work. The soul is clear, and you lot have not understood. You're too busy not paying the electricity bill and just hoping that the government will give you everything. Who's going to put the police force on the street, and who's going to keep the hospitals going when you're sick? Start, when you work with this system, start changing your ethos. The only person who can elevate your soul is you and nobody else. And in elevating your soul, you elevate your physicality. In being able to share more, to give more, that with the hope that you receive the strongest fields from those who have given, and all the weakest field has been spread on those who are weaker in intention. When I give my wish, it's the same as what I explained with the North Pole and the South Pole. The energy on the top is giver. The ones who are petty and want to take, they take from the weakest, strongest of the fields of receiving. But the man who has a full intention receives the most powerful energy in gravity. That's how the system works. That's how the sun creates its own fields. That's how you go in as a weaker and you come out as a stronger. There is no difference between the operation of the fields of the star and the soul of the man and the physicality of the manifestation of his thoughts. If you understand this, you don't need to build system. You can achieve everything which is your dream. That's the attribute of the Creator. Detachment from physicality means I know I have what I want, and I give as much as I have. As I know I'll receive a stronger than I give in the strongest. There is no way you can separate theology and ethos of the creation from the physics. MIT scientists, people from Cornell University, people from Yale have said, we accept Keshe technology. I can show it to you in black and white. But the problem with him is he brings theology into his work. This is, you lot in these universities are nothing but materialistic scientists, because you don't see the bigger picture that without it in the space, we work in the plasma, you are still stuck with the matter state. In the matter state, then you need to go to church and get rubbed with your soul, because you're still stuck with it. In the plasma technology, when you understand the totality of it, you become the prophet of your own correct conduct. So we leave the scientists from Cornell and what do you call it, other universities in America, who the response was, if he doesn't talk about the ethos, we accept his technology. You lot have not even understood what is on the table. You're too physical, worrying about the degrees and the Porsches and the mistresses in the back street. Shame on you. When you work in the plasma, you have to understand the ethos of the plasma. Then the plasma gives you what you want, if the intention is correct. You cannot separate. It's not anymore I do what I do behind the locked doors. Locked doors are the open scene for the soul of the man. And when you understand this, you understand theology, which is the conduct of the soul, exists within the structure of the matter state. Without it, cannot exist. Those who want to see half of it, let them be. We call them professors at Yale University, because that's the limit of understanding. And as I said, in this technology, you take as much as you understand and no more. We don't preach, we teach. It's the student, due to his lack of understanding, who cannot see the totality. Work, set up your system very clearly. But what we've seen from our Chinese friend, understand what is the outcome. What do you want? Do you want the leakage in one side, or do you want absorption in the other side? How much do you want to give before you receive? If you set your system to be taker and taker, you find out you take nothing, because it reaches balance that it has nowhere to give. So a full cup cannot take anymore.
So could we say that we're trying to evolve our confidence in our intention?
Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Cash.
Good morning.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
In Cash Foundation, when we say good morning, it means you understood what you're talking about.
That was a compliment, actually, yes. So, well, sort of a compliment, I guess, yeah.
It is that you understood, but if you can translate the understanding into the work of life.
Well, like a cook has a recipe. In my recipe for success, I want to examine what I've created to see how much of the recipe was the ingredient of intention by examining what I've created, if that's a fair statement.
In a way, yes, but if you want to see what you created, it depends on what you wanted out of what you created. That's the main part.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about nano-coated aluminum. Every time I see nano-coated aluminum, it's never really fully black like the...
It can't be. It cannot be.
But that's what I created, and I wanted to know if I did create it. I test it with a meter, and it, it has infinite resistance, so it's acting like the SP3 diamond structure. But I wanted to examine the process to kind of build the confidence that my intention was more of the ingredient than actually the process.
In a way, it depends what you want to do with that aluminium at the end, which counts. It's in the writing of Baha'u'llah, blessed his name, and I've said it many times. Man has a soul. So does the animal, so does the tree, even a stone has a soul. It's a field which itself has created its own fields and is aware of the fields you want to intention for. This is what a lot of us miss in the whole teaching. We become too powerful. I saw other side of the man in past week, which put me ashamed. How the greed of energy brings a man to misconduct of the conducts. We don't need to prove nothing. All we need is to show the power of our will, which is correct to deliver what we want to do, which is a peaceful action. It will come. It will come because the intention is there to come, but others are not maybe ready for it.
Well, that's why I hope to share some information. Perhaps it could help other people evolve a little bit.
With this new technology, 7 billion of us has a lot to share with each other. What we have to learn from what we understand when we get enlightened, as said before, is to don't put it on the paper, write it with a pen of soul. Those who are at the level of you will read. This is why we changed the council to the language, not to the nation, because nations don't exist, but the languages is the line of communication and understanding of the emotion of the man. And this is what will count. You discover something and your intention is to share, write it with a pen of soul. Those who want to understand will be enlightened, and they reverse back to you what they understood, and you receive more. In the space there are no trees, and in space there are no computers. The only line of communication is through the soul of the man. We cannot put what they call cables across the universe to contact the others. And the faster the man understands this, the faster we can achieve the level of understanding of universal community.
Then why such a struggle with the physicality?
It's the choice of the man. But don't forget, man was created of that physicality. It's a cycle. Conversion of energy to matter and matter back to energy. This time the energy is the soul of the man. As if you go back to part of the medical teaching, Dr. Kostova brought it out on the table clearly. When you die, your body releases equal to 18 Hiroshima bomb of energy. Where do you think that energy comes from? Gathered from the physicality to add to the soul of the man. This is what the law was to understand. This is what we have missed in the whole structure, and now more and more we come into liquid and field plasma. We understand more, and then it's for us to be the mediator between our soul and our physicality, which means we control our emotion to be a giver by physicality. That with the hope that we receive at our soul level what is need to be elevated with us. God is a giver because he knows when he gives, he has more to receive. Shall we call it the day? We had a long time last night. We are already in 4 hours near of teaching. And if we can use the Paul's teaching next week. We had a very long week this week, development and technology. And it's nearly 3-4 hours we are online.
If I could just briefly describe the process, just so quickly.
A few minutes, yes, please.
Okay. Because in the beginning, I always, about a year ago, I was watching people were trying to create nano-coated aluminum, and there was different processes came up, and I never really saw a process that worked for me. And then I remembered when you clean silver, sterling silver, through a process where you'd put a piece of aluminum at the bottom of like a pot, and then you'd add baking soda to it, and then you could put the sterling silver in the water. The silver oxide or the tarnish would go to the aluminum foil. And so I thought about that, and I went to replicate that. So I took sheets of aluminum foil, and I put it in like a 7-quart stainless steel pot with a copper bottom, and I put in the baking soda and the silver, and I brought it to a boil and let it just simmer like a soup. And then after about 6 or 8 hours, all the aluminum sheets turned dark black. And I just wanted to know, if I'm not really a chemist, so I didn't understand if it was I created a electrolysis or I was doing something, but I found that when I tested the aluminum, the nano coat on it, it showed that the resistance was infinite. And so that was the data that I got, but I just didn't know how to explain it and to understand if there was how much of my intention was part of that recipe if it was successful.
Maybe partially, but on the other hand, you have to understand When you create these kind of conditions, you create multi-layers. Aluminium, most of the time you see grayish, not really black. It's because of its atomic structure. When it converts into plasma, it does not create a tight pack to absorb all the lights from the environment. And that's the problem with it. The structure packing is too loose in respect to the atmospheric plasmatic condition. Where with copper it becomes very tight and there's no energy, or everything goes through. With the aluminum, because of its plasmatic structure field, you don't have that. So you don't absorb all the lights. It doesn't mean that you haven't created the nanomaterial or the GANs of it. It's just a spacing which is the problem. It's not a problem, it creates a different light.
Yeah, but it's as black as the nano-coated copper.
Yes, because you have created a condition is a composite, or due to the fields you created, you have enforced external pressures internally in the layers that allow the external layers. If you shave it, you come back to gray. If you just scratch it, that you can get the top layers off, you disturb the field forces, you will get the same color as before. You have, this is how you make filtering.
Yeah, I also noticed some places look porous, but yet it was translucent, but yet the material was still there. That's what I kind of found odd
Yes, this
too.
is the spacing. You have to understand positioning in the atomic structure. Thank you very much for the knowledge.
Thank you.
Our Chinese friend with this drawing you have on the screen, can you please come back hopefully when you make your unit next week and share knowledge with us? And Paul, we put you on an early part of next week that we can explain. We are already running into nearly 4 hours of teaching this morning.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank
Cash.
you very much indeed. Thank you very much. And we'll
Yes,
see
I
you
appreciate
later.
it.
Thank you indeed. Thank you for sharing knowledge with us. See you next week.
Thank
you, Greg. Thanks,
yeah.
Vince.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cash. Maybe next week we can show in more detail also what Stanley wanted to bring up about the transcriptions being done on the short version of the blueprint explanation. You can find that on the Cash Foundation YouTube site and in several, I think 7 languages now. It's 11 minutes that shows the blueprint explanation from Mr. Cash. Okay, but we should sign off for now. You're right, it's been a long workshop here. So let me finish with the screen share. And thank you everybody for attending on the 133rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, August 18th, 2016. And lots of questions still out there. Save them for next week, and we'll continue with more answers from Mr. Cash. Okay, I'll end the live stream for now.